Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first ever RSF1 podcast. I am your host here, King Essex Tomo. Yes, I have changed my name, just in case you were wondering, ladies and gentlemen. And I am joined by my teammate, my compadre for the rest of the season, I hope, Mr. Primus. Primus, welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem at all. So, just to quickly go through, the lineup for tonight is that we're going to talk about what happened in Austria. Obviously some of the key points, key talking points, championship standings. We have our special guests tonight. We've got 3 special guests. I will tell you who they are. I think some of you may know because I've had a lot of requests for one particular person, so it's going to be very interesting tonight. We're going to talk about obviously the race coming up next week, because obviously we start on Sunday with the lovely F2 division, and we're obviously heading home. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going home for the next Formula One round, or the next round, should I say round? Where are we? Round 10, isn't it? Round 10, is it, Promise?
Round
right?
10.
I thought it was round 10, just making sure. So, yeah, round 10. So I'm very happy about that. But more importantly, sorry for that. More importantly, let's just get crack-a-lacking, shall we? So, obviously, Primus, you're part of the comms team. Obviously, I'm part of the comms team now. So you had the opportunity of commentating on 2 races. You had the how can we put it? The brilliant race that was F2 in Austria on Sunday. That was interesting, wasn't it?
It was a very interesting race. So it was a very big battle because every single race that happened in Austria for F1, 2, 3 and 4 had rain. It at least had intermediate conditions. And it was most bizarre because we've always had at least maybe the odd bit of rain or maybe the odd one group, that one division that had no rain. But everyone had rain. It mixed everything up. It gave everyone a time to shine. And if I can recall, Skunk Burner was on the way to win in Austria. And I know DP Roberts was definitely fighting with him for it. It escapes me who got third. I think
it was Brundle. It was Brundle who got third.
It was Brundle, yeah. So it was a very interesting race. And then on the very last lap, the Xbox core services. So I had a little look into it, and I was actually speaking to my friend about an hour before the podcast. It's actually a worldwide thing. Servers everywhere went down. So it ruined our stream because in the end, I was talking to Bodder. By the way, big shout out to Bodder. And I was with Bodder, and then suddenly everything dies. I witness 2 cars crash on the stream literally seconds before it, because obviously everyone desynced. So I didn't see desynced cars. All I saw was 2 cars hit each other, and I was like, oh my god! And then suddenly, screen went black. I'm on the main menu, but the stream's still going. And then I'm trying to rejoin Bodder's party to find out what's going on, but because of the party going bad, I couldn't get to Bodder. So eventually, I'm left angry and disappointed because I was so into that race.
Sorry to interrupt you. Are we streaming live?
We are live indeed.
Are you sure? It's not showing up. I'm just looking on Twitch, and it's not showing up that we're actually live. So I don't know what's going on here.
We've got 9 viewers at the moment.
Are we? Oh, there you go. We are live then. Carry on. Sorry.
We've got 9 viewers, so people are watching.
There you go. So.
That's all right. Just double checking. It is our first podcast. It might have a bit of a bumpy start, but we don't want to jinx that. So going into F2, it was like at the end, it was a bit disappointing. I was excited. I was looking forward to the race. Like seeing the conclusion, doing the interviews, and because the whole servers went down, we couldn't interview the drivers. We couldn't do anything, and in the end, it basically we did manage to successfully start the final lap. So at that point, the stewards decided to say, we're going to basically end the race from the last lap. So however the results showed on the stream before the lobby went down is how it finished. And then obviously for the standings, to update, I think the penalties are going to be looked at. But as we know, Skunk Burner won the race.
We do.
So that was interesting
yes.
for F2. But it was a really good drive. But I do think that it was AMS Phoenix who was on such an amazing drive, and I still actually stand by my decision of awarding AMS Phoenix Driver of the Day for F2 back on Sunday, because he had an amazing recovery drive. Poor qualifying, but great race that Phoenix demonstrated, so he definitely deserved it.
Well, I mean, obviously I watched back the race. It was quite interesting. I'd made a few comments about some of the strategies that were going on, and it had everything. It had sort of wet start, wet comment. It got up to the point we didn't know when the rain was going to come to end. Then all of a sudden people were still going around. All of a sudden DRS was activated. It changed the strategies a little bit. McLaren did a double stack, which didn't go down very well. Obviously no team communication, no team orders there. And then we just carried on, and like you said, the killer penalties. I couldn't believe. I said this to him when I was in the commentating with him on that Tuesday night. I said to him, I could not believe the killer penalties only had one penalty, and he started laughing. Obviously, RSF1 Brundle we're talking about here, but obviously moving swiftly on to F1. I don't know if anybody, obviously, those of you who did watch it, it was a absolute brilliant race from start to finish. Some of the moves that were made were sort of, oh my goodness, what you're doing, but at the same time, all clean, all very good fun, hardly any incidents, brilliant driving from certain drivers. Unity being one. Obviously, he's one of our special guests tonight. Obviously, because he won the F1 last night on Tuesday night, going from super softs from pole position, jumping onto hards, and a lot of people, including some of the people that are actually on our stream at the moment. I'm talking about Mr. Shane, saying that obviously he felt that he felt that Unity had made a slight miscalculation, but it turned out in the end, we were 2 laps to go. Vettel SF, who is again another one of our special guests tonight, who finished, fun enough, he finished second. He was sitting over 6 seconds ahead. Bearing in mind he had 2 penalties and made a mistake, and Unity got the win. The best thing about that race was the 3rd place, because you had Mr. Pigeon really pushing it for McLaren. Odders, who was the championship rival, he had a really bad start, a race to forget for him. But Clays, I think his name is RS1 Clays, is he? Am I getting that right? RSR Clays qualified 16th and drove a brilliant race to not get any penalties and got promoted from 16th where he was to 3rd. Unbelievable. So it was like you had a Haas there, you had a Racing Point, and you had a Mercedes. And Mercedes were looking for the first podium apparently before they went into that race. It was a great performance, brilliant to commentate. I'm just going through the and we've just got a few. How many viewers we've got at the moment? That's quite a number actually. We're getting loads of messages come through.
18 now.
18 viewers. Wow, fantastic. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go.
Incredible.
So here we go. There we go. Kent's favourite son, Mr. Tomo. I'll deal with you later, Shane. The name DPS. F1. One of the best I've ever watched, said Shane. Webster said, evening, buddy. Hope you're doing okay. Hell King Kent. That's another one I've got to deal with. Dufflump says F3. Camo DPS. How are you? Hell King Kent. Tomo, my man, says RSF1 Flaming. Dufflump says Dips Diesel. Well, all that sort of stuff, one. The only way is up.
We'll go into F3 in a moment.
We will go
Because
on to
we
F3
still need to
in a
get through
moment.
F4 because we've just gone through F2.
Yeah,
We've gone through F1
we've gone
with
to
you.
F2, we've gone to F1.
Get F4.
F4, you raced it. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it because I wasn't about. I was actually out, believe it or not. I mean, with some friends of mine having a nice meal. But from what I can understand,
like I had a good day.
your teammate had a fantastic race. You got you. How can we put it in the nicest possible way? You didn't, but did go into the pits.
Very unlucky moment. So I watched over the stream, so I got a look on everything. But I'll go a little bit over my point of view. So, we had an intermediate start. I had a little bit of a problem because, in the sunshine on Austria, the sun gleams on the hill entry to turn 1. So I couldn't really see the entry point. So I had very terrible qualifying because I couldn't see on the hill because it was way too bright. But I qualified 7th in the end. And Alco Saint's my teammate. We'd been doing time trials prior. And Alco was just unbelievably quick. He was actually the 3rd fastest person on my list, and he was actually even beating some F1 drivers, and that's saying something for Alco Saints. And Alco showed amazing pace, and he commanded the race from start to finish. Literally, the moment the race began and he started to open the gap between him and the Alfa Romeo, he had Toby behind him, TXBZI. He's what is Rebster's ex-teammate in Racing Point, because Rebster's now gone into reserve. So being the lone Racing Point, Toby's moving on. I'll just call him Toby. Toby and Alco and all that went into the pits, and then Toby crashed in the pits, from what I can recall. And Toby was out of the race, which basically put one of the main contenders for the win out of contention for Alco. And at that point, it was Spiralacer and Tidgosaurus. And even then, Tidge unfortunately lost out to Spiralacer, so he made a quick judgment in the transition period to go from, I think it was lap 18 to the end on softs. So it was an amazing drive by Spiralacer.
Especially on
second
softs.
Place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And during the transition period, from to dry, I managed to get myself back up to 4th because I put on fresh tyres. I put on the slicks. It was mediums, actually. I put on mediums a lap before the DRS was enabled. And then suddenly, everyone pits. I'm back up into 4th place. And I'm just like, oh man, this is great. And then Jay Locker was on the climb. And I have to give my mad respects to Jay Locker, because the battles we had, it was a good 4 or 5 laps. And I watched the stream like 5 times over on our battles because they were brilliant. We both were respectfully swapping positions, left, right, and centre. We left each other space, while also pushing as drivers, to give a really good show. And I had so much fun. So before my incidental pit entry, two or three laps beforehand, engineer Jeff on the game says your DRS flap is stuck closed. It's broken. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can live without DRS. It's not going to be good when Jay's going to get DRS from me on the straights. And if I'm behind him, I've got no defence. I've got no way of coming back at him. He'll get away. And then another lap and a half or so later, Jeff's like, yeah, your flap's stuck open now. And I was like, eh? I looked behind me. The flap was open. I was going through Rint, the second to last corner, the fast right-hander, which you have to chuck it down to 6th gear and get a good run into. And because the DRS was open, and I was on quite warm mediums, because everyone was on like 40%, 30% when they finished the race, because of the battle with Jay Locker, I wasn't hitting 60.
Can I just ask, at that point, after the race, did you go, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I need to go and check my underpants? Was there more than a racing stripe there, Caterpillar?
I screamed when it went into the pits. I'm not going to lie, I screamed when I entered the pits because the back end of the car kicked out. I thought I was going to hit the wall. I'm happy to have finished the race at all because I lost the back end, and basically the back end kicked out and I went into the pits and I thought I was going to hit the wall. So, not going to lie, I went round the back corner, I was like, ah! And then I went into the pits, regained control.
No, hold on a minute. That's not what you said earlier. You said you screamed like a girl before we got onto the podcast. That's exactly what you said.
I did not.
That. I remember you telling me that. You said
I didn't say I screamed like a girl. I said I screamed.
Unbelievable. You know what I mean? And then you go on the podcast and now you're giving it like, ah. You know what I mean? Don't lie. Just tell the guys.
Well, anyways,
all friends here.
I did need a change of underpants basically because that was a scary moment because I thought I was going to lose all that hard work. But in the end, because I was just like, into the pits. Okay, guess I might as well just chuck on softs then. And I was way ahead of the car and behind me, and I got an added 5-second time penalty because I was like 3 or 4 miles an hour over the speed limit going in. So I got a 5-second time penalty. But luckily I managed to put on the softs, and like I basically went for fastest lap of the race, and I managed to get it on the very last lap.
Cool.
So yeah.
While you've been chatting, and obviously coming out with some private confessions, there's a very interesting debate going on the stream here. I'm going to bring you up to this, and obviously we'll talk about it a little bit later. It's a great question, actually, fun enough, which has been brought forward by RSF1 Flaming. And he has asked, would it be great, this is an idea that he's come across, and obviously people are talking about it and stuff like that, and it probably will go to the committee, but we'll talk about it a little bit later anyway, and I want you to chew on it before we get on to F3, which is, how would everybody feel if the viewers watching the race of each division, whichever division it is, voted on driver of the day rather than the commentators? Now, obviously, we'll talk about that later, because obviously we've got to get cracking, because we've got quite a lot to get through in our first night. So we'll come back to that question in a moment. It is literally on the chat at the moment. How many viewers have we got at the moment, Mr. Primus?
19.
19. Happy days. Well,
we had 20 for a moment, but someone's probably just gone to get a bite to
eat. For God's sake. You know what I mean? Come on, boys.
We need more.
Margin, come on. We need more. Anyway, let's get to, because a lot of people have been talking about it, especially Incest Boy, Camo. Yes, I did mention you, Camo, because, like, you know, you've been throwing out Kent, all that sort of stuff. Unbelievable. Don't know what it's all about. And Todd First, a student. No, I am not from Kent, but for some unknown bizarre reason, these guys have got a problem with their geography. F3, I didn't watch it, unfortunately, because I was otherwise detained with something else. But you commentating it with Master Krog. Good to hear that he was back in the box with you. How was the race?
F3, I have to say, Austria, how Austria went, of all the seasons I've seen of F3, that was hands down my favourite race that F3 have delivered, because it went from wet weather start to intermediates to dries for like 3 laps and then back to intermediates. The most transitions I've ever seen in an RSF1 race of all time. And the amount of times I saw things change, and what astounded me the most was Camo's first ever podium. But we'll get on to that in a moment.
What? Hold on, mate. Oh, sorry.
I said that right. It was his first ever podium.
No, I don't believe that.
He got 3rd place.
What?
He started 3rd, finished 3rd.
Incest got 3rd? What is going on around here? What is going on around here? Yeah, it's not quite right there.
It was close because the whole weekend, as much as not real, you know, the game race weekend, the battle was between Easton and Moronix. So
again, yeah. Well, I remember the battle they had in France. When I was watching Easton
winning.
and Moronix, and Easton, I got caught out. I
watched that, and I heard you were not ready to hear.
Well, no, because the thing was, right, I'd just spoken to, I can't remember who actually finished 3rd, to be perfectly honest. I do apologise. But obviously Moronix was sitting in 2nd, and I spoke to him. And because Owls was with me, No Shells was with me. And when I went over to Easton, said, congratulations, blah, 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 this little voice came out and went, hello, you. I was like, what the? I was completely, nobody had mentioned it to me, nobody had told me. I was like, okay, nobody told me I was previously. No, Bodder never told me.
Because Bodder knew Easton, because in another league, Bodder and Easton raced together, and Easton got on the podium with Bodder, and it staggered Bodder when he first heard Easton talk, because obviously Easton's been mainly quiet, you know, he's only been typing, and then, you know, to hear him talk, you know, he's so young in his age. I think he maybe 12, 13. He's a young boy, and he has such great knowledge and skill in the game. I mean, heck, in his second race ever in RSF1, because in his first race, I think he had connection issues and he couldn't end up joining in the end. So Easton couldn't take part in Canada in his first race. But in France, he even tangled with the one of the championship leaders, Moronix. And in Austria, he did it again. So Easton was starting the race in the lead. He stole a provisional pole from Moronix in qualifying.
Again.
Yeah, again. And then in the beginning, Easton got a good start, but do keep in mind it was full wets going to intermediate, so eventually the wets started to go. And then Moronix made a move and got past Easton. Moronix got penalties. He got 6 seconds in the end, but Easton had 3. But Moronix just managed to clear that gap and stay first and won the race. Easton got second after like a tremendous battle with Moronix. And then Camo almost looked like he was maybe going to take second place, but then he started to drop off
I demand a drugs test right here, right now. I'm telling you, I demand a drugs test. There is no way that guy's been sitting all the way in the back and then all that something out of nowhere. I reckon he probably paid the rest of the drivers. He's obviously offered them some sort of favours, definitely.
He made an amazing call. So when the dry conditions started to go wet again, Camo... he slapped on the Inters quick. Because a separate driver, Braver Container, he just judged it a little bit too early. He probably slapped on the Inters maybe 1 lap too early. Because at the time we didn't know rain was coming back. We thought it was going to be dry to the end. So we thought, oh my god, he's made a mistake. And then it turns out Braver put on the Inters because the rain was coming back. They would be a little bit warm though, because there was no dampness on the track, so the tyres would overheat a little bit more. Camo then pitted just on the correct time, and he managed to pass most of the people. And that was a little bit of a problem because I think there was a double stacking moment. No, I'm thinking of F4. So there was moments in the track, everyone was going into the pits, but Easton and Moronix just left Camo. Eventually, Camo started to drop back from Easton, so there's no way Camo could have gone for second place. And then Jay Slee started to make the charge. Jay Slee was coming for Camo, and then I think in the first corner, Nicky Lauda curve, going into the final lap, going into turn 1, Jay Slee just misjudged the braking, so he tried going around the outside and sort of outbroke himself, and he went off. But Jay Slee did basically bring back an amazing race. I think he had a really poor start, and he just charged his way through the midfield to fight for a podium position, but just missed out. And even if he overtook Camo, he had penalties, so he would have just finished 4th anyways. So, but at that point, how Jay Slee drove...
not doing very well, is he? That head steward of ours has just caused nothing but penalties. You would have thought he'd be driving he'd be driving by experience. But no, it sounds like, actually, put me there, Primus, it sounds like it was a fantastic race. I still can't get over the fact that Camo got third. I really can't. I think I need to lay down. I've got a headache coming. So anyway, all right, okay. So we've had 4 fans. Well, it sounds from obviously I didn't see F4 and F3, but F1 and F2 were fantastic. F1 was probably the best race that has been on there for a while. Sounds like all 4 races were brilliant, different strategies and all that sort of stuff. So
no restarts either. So. Perfect week.
Yeah, it was a perfect week. Yeah, definitely a perfect week. After what happened with apparently in France, with what happened with certain things, like I don't know the whole ins and outs of it, obviously. So, but anyway, so it is time now, ladies and gentlemen, to invite our special guests. Now, I'm going to get these guys in here because I think they deserve to be in here because obviously they've got this, but also. A lot of people have been asking for one particular person. We all know who he is. Well, some of us do, some of us don't. I don't think I actually have him on my list. I don't actually. Oh no. Or do I? I'm going to have a look for him. But anyway, I've invited these 2 guys in here, with 2 special guests, and that would be first and second in the F1 race in Austria. And that is, if I remember correctly, Unity Hush and also Vettel. If you can just click the box in the top there, guys. Much appreciated. Are we all done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Right. So, quick question for you. Primus, can you see if you can try and find? Actually, no, I'll do it. I'll do it. You're streaming, aren't you? So, I'll see if I can try and get.
Yeah.
Peppermeat, if you're listening, if anybody's got Peppermeat, please send a message and tell them to find me on the stream, find me on the game, and come into the party. So we'll start at the moment. We shall definitely start with Unity. Unity, thank you very much for joining the podcast. Nice to finally get to speak to you. Aha!
There he
is. There he is. The man, the myth, the legend. There he is. And of course, our third special guest, Peppermeat. If you just press the box, mate, I'll come to you in a second. All right, I'll come to you in a second, buddy. So Unity. First of all, your race around Austria, your battle with Vettel, I'll come to you in a second, Vettel, was brilliant. Different strategy. I know you couldn't really talk about it on the podium, but talk us through that particular race. How obviously, your strategy calls and stuff like that.
Well, maintaining the start was crucial for me, but I was quite worried going into the pit stop phase because I knew everyone was going to go on mediums. I thought I'll take a gamble, go on hards. In the last 5 laps, hopefully my tyres will be in a better condition, and obviously Vettel lost it, I think he did, so that gave me a chance, and I feel like I called the right strategy.
Okay, good. Well, I mean, we was sitting there watching you. You was doing a fantastic race, and of course, you was having a bit of a battle with Vettel's or whatever I don't know what the second part of that is.
SF17.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though, Vettel. Okay, so 2 laps from the end, you're 6 seconds ahead of Unity. You must have been sitting there thinking, do you know what? I've got this in the bag. I've worked my backside off. I've got 2 penalties. I'm quite fair away. I've got a fair distance between myself and Unity. And then what happened next?
I was going into the first corner, and then I hit the curb with the rear wheel, and the rear went and got in the grass.
Oh!
Ooh, he's nearly binned it, hasn't he?
Nearly binned
I
it.
didn't really watch that, but that sounded like it was a really scary moment.
Well,
Yeah.
because basically we were sitting there going, Vettel's got this in the bag. While we were keeping an eye on what's going on in Unity, all of a sudden I looked up and it was like, hold on a minute. Vettel's moved he's like 6.5 seconds ahead of Unity. He's gonna, he's gonna actually get this. And then next thing you know, hold on a minute. Unity's within a second. What the hell's going on here? I knew Unity was good, but that was ridiculous. But it was a fantastic race from both of you guys. Obviously, the third person, Clayton, couldn't make it. But while you're here, we will talk about Silverstone in a bit. We're going to go to the man, the myth, the legend. That is Peppermeat. Now, Unity, you didn't want him on here. Why?
No, come on.
Why?
Yeah,
Why is it? Why didn't you want your buddy, pal, chum, Peppermeat on here? Come on.
Yeah, come on now.
He just talks too much.
He just talks too much. Fair enough.
You're supposed to do on a podcast.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's the whole point of the podcast there, Unity. Unbelievable, you know what I mean? Glad you called.
Unbelievable.
Anyway, Peppermeat. So, your race. Yo, dude.
I'm going to try and I'll just add it real quick. King Kent, isn't it?
No, it's not King. You know what I mean? Don't start.
Oh.
You know what I mean? What's the matter with you? What is wrong with you? Eh?
Sorry.
So, I should think so as well. Don't ever do that again. Anyway. So, you had a fantastic race. You was having a really good race, weren't you? Actually, no, do you know what? Primus. You commentated on that. You commentated on watching Primus, watching Peppermeat. You ask it the question. You can ask the question on this one. Go for it. Deal with the man, the myth, the legend.
Peppermeat,
You know what I mean?
The battle that you was bringing in Austria, because you know, as we saw all week from all four divisions, rain hit Austria like crazy. There was no full dry race. We had dry qualifying, but
F1 did.
what was
F1 had a full
interesting.
dry race.
Oh, F1 had a full dry race.
Yep.
Ooh.
F1's the only race
Oh,
that
okay,
had a full
then.
dry race all the way through.
Lucky bastards.
Everyone except F1 had wet conditions. So how did you feel the race went for you? Because I know that you were starting to make a bit of a climb near the end of the race, and then unfortunately, coming to the last lap, the Xbox services went down. I know that's gutting for everyone because you know everyone like amazing battles are starting to unfold, and then the whole service went down. But how did you feel your race went? You know, from start to finish.
Well, I didn't. No one knew what the strategy was because we started on inters and it just said that it was going to go to wets in like 5 minutes, but 5 minutes passed and wet didn't come. It just stayed the same. Then it said it was going to get dry. Jeff was all over the place. He didn't know what was fucking going on. He kept saying dry in 5, wet in 5, and I was just like, nobody knew what to do. So I just stayed out on the inters, and some people boxed for wets, some people boxed for inters again. I just stayed out. Tires were nearly dead at the end.
Sorry, Primus. I've got a question here because this question's just popped up on the chat here, and I don't believe I'm about to ask this. Right? Okay. So here we go. So apparently, rumor has it, apparently, that you apparently race naked. Obviously, you go for a briskly walk.
Yes.
You what? You what? You don't. Do you?
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
It's been tested in the simulator to increase aerodynamic performance. Also,
Weight reduction.
weight reduction, aerodynamic performance,
Mate,
and
well,
cooling.
there's a problem with the weight reduction because the problem is so weight reduction. Take the piss.
Here's what I was
just-
thinking though.
Right,
Like, you know,
okay,
at the
so
end of the
the
race, when the
people-
drivers weigh
apparently-
themselves.
Apparently, right, okay, apparently it's his teammate because his teammate said, "I've got a question." To ask. Why do you actually? Yeah, here's the question, right? Obviously, why do you race naked? Obviously, you have answered it a little bit, but that's a load of bollocks. So, why do you race naked?
Reduce cooling or increase cooling.
Do you go
best
for
I've ever
a
heard.
moonlight? Do you go for like a little spotlight walk just to make sure everybody can see you? It's like, this man, I'm naked.
He just stands out in the back garden and calls off.
I like to race as comfortable as possible, so
As somebody walks past him, careful. You know what I mean? Just work.
you have to race as you're comfortable. So I just get me kit off. Go on.
You just get your kit off.
So
Yeah.
Now
I'd
think
I
about
hate to
that,
cut in
Patronus,
for a
as you're driving
second.
around, your teammates driving behind you naked.
I've said that to them. I said when I'm behind you, I'm bleeding butt naked racing. Come on.
Yeah, but the
Get a
funny
move
thing
on.
two things on that. One, that's weird to picture, and
What's wrong?
two, I just want to add something in before we continue. So we've had a little bit of an issue lately in the chats of profanity used. So I'd like to take this moment because we shouldn't really have to do this because we all should know better.
No, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. We're not
What's
talking
your
about that
profanity?
because.
Oh no, not about what
basically-
happened the other day. I just mean in general.
It's being dealt with by the committee. So just to bring this up to you, obviously I don't mean to stop Promises thunder there, but anything to do with that side of things, we're not going to talk about in the podcast because at the end of the day, even if it's anything to do with stuff like that stuff will be dealt with by the committee. There will be a league announcement made regarding that, and obviously it will go to the IBD head steward or the chief division head. So I don't get me wrong. Obviously, yes, I'd rather talk about the positives rather than the negatives. Really, perfectly honest.
Yeah.
That's the
More
reason why the
positives than
podcast
negatives.
is-
Come on.
You know what I mean? So, speaking of questions as well, I've got a question here from Shane, and it's a really, really weird one. He says, is your racing seat really a modified toilet seat? And that's why you're racing naked, just taking a dump while racing?
He was on the loo in the chat for F3. He was like, just see Peppermeat. He said he's talking on the bog when I'm trying to commentate over everyone.
So basically, what you're trying to say is that you've got a really big TV screen in your you're not sitting in the service, you're you're actually sitting in your bathroom racing whilst dropping one. You know what I mean? It's like, that's a long time to take a dump, man. You know what I mean? It's 2 hours.
My seat is not a toilet seat. Let's just get this straight. I just race naked on a normal seat. What do you think I am? Come on now. I ain't sitting on a toilet racing. Come on.
What do you think?
Times his TV so he could use the ball game race.
Oh, man,
I was watching F3 on the loo. I had to admit that.
Yeah, I remember that in the chat because I just see like having a poo or something like that written in the chat. And I'm just like, well, I don't know what to say to that.
So, but yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. So, guys, this week coming up, we've got Silverstone. So we'll start with Peppermeat first because obviously he's going to be the first driver driving it on Sunday with your fantastic. Well, I say you're a fantastic teammate, Patronus, but I'll be lying. No, he's all right. God bless him. Yeah.
He's a fucking prick. I love my team.
Yeah.
So you don't say anything.
Or as I call him, Captain Negative. God bless him.
Leave him alone.
Oh, all right, I can't leave him alone. All right, fair enough. No worries, naked boy. Silverstone, obviously racing it naked, fair enough. But will you actually be racing it naked or racing it naked with a Union Jack flag round you, giving it all the big one?
I'll be racing naked, but I won't be having a Union Jack flag around me.
Oh man, why not?
Why?
Because he's Irish.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, you're part of the great. Listen, are you not part of the United Kingdom? Yes.
No.
I like how he answered the question as you asked. Is like, are you in the UK? Yes.
Yeah.
No. Like, no.
Let's get Boddy in here. He'll tell you what's what as well.
Don't
Boddy's not here.
You know what I mean? He starts threatening me, throwing bombs my way as usual, like he does anyway. So, let's not go down that road, okay? So, but are you looking forward to Silverstone?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I love Silverstone. It's a great racetrack. I haven't done practice on it yet, but I usually don't. I usually just do it on Saturday. Do a few time trial laps and then just get me kit off and race. That's it.
I'm sorry, but I am not getting good pictures in my head right now. You know, everyone that takes a minute to have a drink.
What is wrong with
you know, but
seriously,
I
man.
don't strip my kids off. I have to do my racing in the conservatory in my house, which is downstairs. I've got a clear glass door.
That would be
if
quite
I suddenly
amusing,
got my
that would
kit
be
off
that
to
would be a very
race
interesting question. If your dad walked past, went, "Excuse me, son, I need to have a chat. Why are you driving around? Why are you playing around in your Xbox naked?" So you want to tell me? Is there something?
I don't think I'd do that.
I mean,
You are telling me you've never gamed naked.
Are you having decent conversations, or are you having that kind of conversation?
None of you ever gamed naked.
I've never,
obviously not.
I've never gamed naked. No, I've never done it. And like, you know, if you do it, you know, if it works, you just do it. You do what you can do. But I personally don't do it.
You should try it and then get back to me, let you know what you think.
It's like peppermeat therapy.
I don't
want
to hear that.
I'm so stressed out. Strip naked and play Tomb Raider.
I'm issuing a challenge. All tears. I'm issuing a challenge to race naked and see how you get on. I bet you'll move up 5 positions.
That would be ugly. Yeah, but there'll be too many people sitting messaging saying, "Oh, my seats are Velcro." You know what I mean?
Oh my god, they'll just be stuck to the chair.
Anyway, so you're looking forward to Silverstone.
Unity
and Vettel. Unity and Vettel. Are you both looking forward to Silverstone? Sorry.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No. So I love the optimism there, guys. You know what I mean? Happy days. Put a little bit of effort into it. Come on, what's the matter?
Peppermeat,
Go on,
do you
bro.
race wheel or pad?
I'm on a pad, man.
Oh, I suppose so.
Okay.
Get
What
very
about you?
sticky on a wheel.
Yeah.
Well, if it's sitting between his legs, it will be. Yeah, definitely. Jesus, you know what I mean? Imagine that. So, right, okay. Now I've got you three here. There was a question that was proposed earlier. Okay, and I'm going to ask you guys. And no, it wasn't somebody turning around saying, "Can I have a picture of you, Peppermeat?" Because we don't want to see. Okay.
Why not?
I'll put that out there.
A charge of
No, I don't see that. Mate, I don't really have nightmares for the rest of my life. What's the matter with you? Anyway,
You won't have nightmares.
So-
You'll have I don't know.
No, I'll
Go on,
have
sorry.
nightmares. That's right. I'll have
I
nightmares.
like how
You're absolutely
Peppermeat
right.
just had to stop. He's just like, you
Yeah.
won't have nightmares with that. Actually, no, never mind.
No, you will have nightmares.
Yeah, you probably will.
Yeah, I definitely would. So Flaming asked a question in the chat, and it's going to probably be a discussion for the committee when they have the meetings. But I wanted to put it to you guys, see what you think. There was a chat about driver of the day. Now, obviously, as you know, at the end of the stream, because obviously sometimes when we're watching, commentating a race, both myself, Primus, Bodder, Brundle, Master Krog, No Shells, all those guys here, it's really, really difficult to try and keep up what's going on and keep, and obviously try and find driver of the day. So, Flaming came out with an idea saying, I've had this idea, I want to throw it out there. And a couple of people have gone, this sounds really good. That the people watching the stream make a vote for their driver of the day. Exactly like it is in the Formula One, right? In real Formula One on Sky Sports and stuff like that, where the actual members put a vote to driver of the day at the end of it, and whoever gets the highest vote gets it. So I'm going to put that to Vettel first. What do you think?
I don't really care. It's not worth anything.
I like that. Brutal honesty. Brutal honesty.
Hey, do you know what I mean? Vettel reminds me of those people. You know those people when you go to those concerts and you're standing there like, yeah, man, blah blah, and you turn to him and you got this guy.
Should change his name from Vettel to Kimi Räikkönen. Fucking hell. One answer.
It's like, yeah, Iceman.
Kimmy,
come on, you know what I mean?
you missed
He's
the
like Iceman,
opportunity
isn't he?
to give an opinion on driver of the day. How do you feel? No.
Actually, no, it was that good. It was that bad. I actually went for a shit. You know what I mean? So anyway, Iceman. So you don't care? Okay, fair enough.
Oh yeah,
we got that out of the way. You know what I mean? Unity.
I feel like there's positives and negatives about this.
God, right, it's like
the pros and cons from your
isn't it?
opinion.
You know what I mean?
It could be good constructive criticism though. So let's hear the pros first from Unity. What would you say would be the real pros to leaving a driver of the day to be a public vote instead of a commentator vote?
I mean, it could get a lot more people into the stream. Interacting with the viewers is a good positive. But on the negative side, the viewers might vote on someone they like instead of someone that deserves it.
That it would be true. It'd be more like sort of favoritism to their, because everyone's friends. But like say for example, you play off stream or off race with someone, and you're really good mates, and then if you're putting forward for,
and people want to vote,
it's just like. But I do agree with you. It definitely does get more interaction, but it's like the viewers will have to take on sort of like a, like you have to stop thinking about your friend, think about the whole entire drive and think who deserves it, But I do agree with Flaming on that regard, though, for like putting the vote through. But we'll wait until waiting for me at the end. But we'll move on from that.
Yeah, I think so. You know what I mean? Obviously, before we get to that, Shane has said, and I can't believe I'm about to say this.
What's he said then?
So Shane has said, and he's a sick puppet, that boy is.
I like
me and Pepper are going to video call each other while we race Silverstone naked. So any F2 guys, remember, if we are behind you, we are also naked. Hope it don't put you off. Ha 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 ha.
I'm not looking forward to F1 next week.
So basically, let me put it this way. I've met Shane, and you know what I mean. No, no. Sorry, mate. The thought of him actually sitting there racing in that sort of position.
It's a good war tactic as well to race naked because people will get distracted and you put them off and they'll fucking bin it and you'll just go drive through.
Oh really? Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
Because
they can't
I thought we didn't judge you.
I can imagine what your tactics are like though, Peppermint. I could just imagine you coming out with, you got a couple of people in your party that are rivals and you're like, you do realise, lads, I'm driving around, I've got a stiffy at the moment, Happy days.
We driving stick shift.
Peppermint opens a Discord server between all of them and just drops the picture in the chat.
Yeah.
Anyway, but getting to the question at hand. something wrong there. What do you think of Flaming's idea?
He's talking about me.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, Naked Boy. What's the matter?
Oh, yeah, I
Oh,
like it.
Peppermint.
I like it because I think because you fucking bastards have never given it to me, so I like the viewer's choice. Come on.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You'll
course,
win it
yeah,
every
yeah,
week.
right. Oh, well, yeah, you'll win it every single week, and then we'll be like,
Yeah, that's why I'm
we'll
all for
scrap
it.
this.
Nah,
I like that's the reason.
fucking never gifted it to me.
That's
Why
fair
is
enough,
that? Fucking come on.
No,
Fucking-
no, yeah, it's like, you know what I mean. I saw your strategy call at Austria. That's all I need to say. Now, guys, thank you so much for joining. And I have to say, we found out some very weird and interesting things about some of the people here. We found out that Vettel is really Kimi Räikkönen in disguise.
Yeah.
We found out that obviously Unity is, well, you know, and he's. You know what I mean? A very good driver. Most of these two are very good drivers. And Peppermeat drives naked. Happy days. You know what I mean? So,
He's on fire.
Peppermeat driving naked has not really been established today. You know, everyone's pretty much already known Pepper does that.
I know,
You know,
yeah.
he never
but
hides
we just-
anything.
but we just found out. You know what I mean?
I'm issuing a challenge to everybody in every tier to try racing naked. That's all I want to know. Naked
No,
race
I-
game. That's what I call it.
That's
Hashtag.
going to be painful. That's going to be painful.
I'll
Yeah,
try
that's
it on
gonna be-
Tuesday.
Yeah, try it. I guarantee
Yeah.
you'll
What?
you'll gain 2 tenths.
Iceman's going to try something new. What's going on here?
Oh,
Bloody hell.
fucking hell.
No, make sure you don't sit on that iceberg of yours, pal. You know what I mean? Jesus. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. I look forward to seeing you guys race. So obviously, Peppermeat, you're going to be racing on Sunday. And Unity and Vettel, you're going to be racing it on Tuesday. I'm hoping that I'll be able to commentate on your race again. And hopefully we'll have a podium. And all that sort of stuff.
True.
Yeah, that's very true. So,
And now I
so
can
anyway,
never commentate the same.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's gonna be a bit. It's gonna be really bad commentating, knowing that obviously Peppermeat. You be like, and then he comes. Yeah, no.
There comes
no,
that.
I can't. No. I just feel dirty talking about him now. You know what I mean? So.
Well,
have a shower.
People race naked.
have a shower.
That's the way it is.
Well, you know, I mean, speak of Shane.
I
Apparently,
think
he races
only
around
you
in
at the
boxers.
moment, mate.
No, apparently Shane raced around in his boxers. Apparently, so he
Get
told
him
us,
off.
you know.
Get him off.
Get him off.
Tenths, eh?
Guys, so anyway, so like we said, so obviously, thank you very much to everybody on the podcast tonight. Obviously we're trying to get everything else sorted out in a full hour. We've had a few little bits and pieces, but thank you very much to my special guests, Peppermeat, Unity, Hushes, and obviously Vettel. I mean, that's what I'm going to call you.
SF71H.
Vettels.
Yeah, Vettel's. That's it. That's it. The Iceman
Vettel's.
now. I'm going to call you Iceman now. The Iceman cometh. That's
Iceman.
It.
To be fair, I was going to say that's your official nickname now, because I know
Yeah.
Bond is
Yeah.
normally the master of nicknames, but Vettel,
That is
you're
your-
now,
that is,
you're now
mate.
Iceman.
You are now Iceman now. So
Do I have a
I'll call you
nickname?
the Iceman from now. Yeah, Nate, Nate, just sick boy. You're a sick man.
Sick boy.
Sorry, Roll, yeah.
Awesome.
You're sick.
Well,
I'll
we're
take it.
going to have to think of a new one for you, Peppermeat, because now obviously
Yeah, here
it's been established now publicly
my
that
goodness,
you drive in
here
the
he comes.
nude, so
It's Starkers coming flying around the corner.
Mr.
Here
Stark.
he comes around the final corner. He's got no clothes on. Ah, he's full.
He's one of those guys. You imagine? Yeah, he's going rad. Here, ladies.
I
He's a
think we should
flasher.
just call
There you
you
go.
Stark.
He's the flasher. He's the flasher.
The flasher.
Comes flying around the corner. Fantastic.
I look like Phil Mitchell from EastEnders.
Oh, Mitchell. That's even worse.
Why? What's wrong with Phil Mitchell? What?
But you know what I mean? So you look like Phil Mitchell. You don't sound like him, but you look like Phil Mitchell, and you drive around. You sit in your room or your living room, whatever it is, and you're sitting there, and you're as you're racing F2.
Yeah.
You're naked. Something wrong there.
Yeah.
No wonder Shane wants to race with you. Video call you.
I know. He
Unbelievable.
fucking keeps calling me all the
Disgusting.
time.
I don't know. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the podcast for episode 1. I hope you very much enjoyed it. I thoroughly have. I've learned something new today, which I did want to know. Primus, It's been a pleasure, mate. It's been very, very good. Unfortunately, our third person couldn't join us tonight, unfortunately, but hopefully he'll be here for next week. We will have some new special guests next week. We're hoping to, we will keep you updated and stuff like that. Just to bring you up to speed, obviously on Sunday we will have the F2 race, which starts at 8 o'clock. That's going to be at Silverstone. Then on Tuesday we've got the F1 race, Primus. What happens on Wednesday and Thursday?
Well, on Wednesday, it's going to be the F4 group. They're going to be racing in Silverstone at 8 o'clock, same as the others. And then finally wrapping up for the week for round 10 of our first season, it will be F3. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing some battles, because obviously excluding the fact that Pepper's in the nude, it's good battles from all of F2 and, you know, F3. Like over the two races I commentate over, they give off some really good battles. They're really good. But F3 took the cake really for me on Thursday, because that was just some really good racing.
Yeah, and obviously I can't. Well, obviously I saw F2. F2's race on Sunday was fantastic, very good stretches, and so was F1. It sounds like F4 was fantastic as well. So hopefully we'll have the same again next week for starting from Sunday with Silverstone, and then of course we are back. We're back this time next week. We're back at 8 o'clock for episode 2 of our podcast. Both myself and Primus will be here, and we'll have our new special guest. So from myself, from Primus, from my special guests, just like to say thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and we bid you adieu.
Bid you, yeah. See you later.
Thank you.